Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today I'm at the beautiful Kin House on the outskirts of Chippenham, which I think is a 17th century manor house. I've been here filming with the brand new Kia EV6, as you can see behind me. That's been parked there strategically. I can assure you it hasn't just been abandoned. Anyway, this morning I got an email from a viewer offering me his late 2016 Mercedes A-Class, and I quite like these cars. They're always good stock, they always sell very well. And as luck would have it, he's based about an hour from here, so I thought, why not kill two birds with one stone? I've done a few reviews over the years with A-Classes and I rate them. I think they're pretty good. Anyway, this one's a late 2016. It's only done 44,000 miles. It's a 1.5 turbo diesel and it's the AMG line spec, so it looks quite cool. It's been described to me as being in good condition. I've seen some photographs of it. It needs the wheels refurbishing and a little bit of paintwork, but apart from that, it's ready for the forecourt. I've agreed to buy this for just £9,300. Now, it's got a suggested retail price of £12,000. So I'm thinking if I can spend maybe £700 on it, it'll owe me £10,000. That leaves me with a £2,000 profit. But as always, I don't want to count my chickens before they've hatched. So we'll have to wait and see. My plan with this is to get the wheels refurbished at Prestige Wheels over in Bredbury, then take it to SPR in Stockport and have the car serviced, maybe service the gearbox. I know these are due a gearbox service at 40,000 miles and chances are this hasn't been done. People always forget that. Thinking about it, I might actually run over my £700 budget. Anyway, let's hit the road, shall we? Right, well, we're here. I've just bought it and paid for it, and it's a little bit rougher than I thought, but there's still a decent car here. Just requires a little bit more work. So, as I saw from the photographs, the wheels need refurbishing. They always do this on Mercedes. The lacquer just kind of peels on the surface and they look a mess. But on the bright side, it's got proper tyres on. It's got Continental Conti Sport contacts with plenty of tread there. The bodywork's quite straight. There are a couple of little scuffs on it. One on the door mirror cap there, a couple on the door edges. There's a small dent here, so I'll get the lads from Dents to pop that out. And then a couple of small little scratches here, so I think it'll need a bit of a buff. But all these marks aren't deep, so they will come out. It just wants, well, it wants my attention really. That's all it needs. So we've got another Continental at the back on probably 6mm. It might want new rear brake discs. They're a bit poor, so I might need to get those changed as well. Now on the back, there are a couple of little scuffs on the back bumper, but I think rather than paint the whole bumper, I think I'll just be able to touch those in. Because it is an 8-year-old car at this point, so there's no point painting the whole bumper really. Might put a new set of reg plates on it. The plates with it as well, which I didn't realise. The previous owner wasn't bothered about keeping it, so that's come with it. And yeah, it's just been sitting for a while, so it needs a very good clean. Loads of moss and all that sort of stuff. But I think it'll clean up quite nicely. It's quite a nice car, it's nice and original. And the mileage is low. It was bought by the previous owner, approved used from a local Mercedes main dealer back in 2018 when it was just 2 years old. And it hasn't done many miles since then. We've got another Continental down this side. Again, the wheel's a mess, so I'll take the wheels to Prestige Wheels and get those refurbished. Definitely replace those rear brake discs because they're ropey. Bodywork on this side, there are a couple of little scratches down this panel here. Just where it's driven past a hedge or something. But I think they'll buff out because they're not deep. I can't get my nail in the scratch there, so we're all good. The roof's all good as well, not dented. And we've got the fourth and final Continental. So it's got good tyres all round. No damage to the sill, that's all good. The only other bit of bodywork damage was this bit down here. So that might need painting actually, I could just paint that area. That's not too bad, it's not the end of the world. So I think looking at it right now, I think my original budget estimate is kind of, well, I think we're still on track for that. So that's good. Moving inside, it's nice and clean really. Well, I say that, it needs a good clean, but there's no damage. That's what I meant to say. It's got the nice carbon effect trim there. Now, when I look through the service records, it's got full service history. So the first couple were done by Mercedes-Benz, then all the servicing work after that's been done by a Mercedes specialist. So it's pretty good. And yeah, it's only done 44,772 miles. I noticed when I was looking through the service records as well, it's had a gearbox service done at, I think, 42,000 miles. For our next base dash cam there. Let's fire up then, shall we? It's the 1.5 Renault turbo diesel engine, which when serviced, they're all right. I'm not a massive fan of them, to be honest, but when serviced, they're all right. You know what's funny about this engine, actually? When it's fitted to a Renault or a Nissan, they have a timing belt which needs replaced every 5 years. But Mercedes-Benz, I believe, use a better quality rubber on the belts, so they don't need to be replaced until they're 10 years old. And it's only 8 years old, so I don't need to do that. So we're all good. It's just a bit grubby, really, but I can sort it. My air conditioning works, so that's a good sign. We've got no heated seats, though, sadly.
With the latest advanced tech, like the Phonak Infinio Sphere. And
That's the radio station.
Great Specsavers prices. So for a free hearing
Let's have a look, shall we?
Okay, hearing.
Classic FM. We've got sat nav, DAB. Have we got reverse camera? Oh, we do. Reverse camera as well. Quite a good spec than this, really, isn't it? I think by the time I've got those wheels refurbished, it'll look really nice. The AMG line trim always looks nice. What have we got in here then? Don't know if they're the original mats or not, I'm not sure. They're fitted and they kind of match the seats with the red trim, so perhaps they are. But yeah, it's all in good condition, really. Got a sunglass holder there. Let me just see when it was last serviced. Right, I'm just going to have to turn the camera away while I flick through this history because I don't want to reveal anyone's name or address. So yeah, it's had an automatic transmission service that was done at 39,000 miles. It had a full service as well. Oh, that was a big bill. £1,004. That was done in April 22. 1st of April, right. Its last MOT then, we've got all that. It had another full service. There's loads of receipts here, loads of receipts. This is all exactly what you want to see. It's a big bill here again for another service done by Mercedes-Benz. That was done in 2019, and that's all good. So yeah, it has been looked after very well, this. It's even gone to a Mercedes specialist for its MOT. Just shows you someone's cared about it, doesn't it? All the previous MOTs here as well. So, this is pretty good going, really. All the neighbours around here are going to think I'm very strange. There's a strange man sat in the back of the Mercedes A-Class with a camera. Anyway, right. Before I agreed to buy this car, I did a thorough vehicle history check using Car Vertical, and here's what I found. No doubt you've heard me mention Car Vertical before because I've mentioned them many times before, but you really must do this before you hand over any cash for a used car or motorbike. It just tells you a whole lot more about the car. It tells you whether it's been stolen, written off, had a mileage drawback, or has outstanding finance on it. And it's really easy to use as well. All you need to do is go to carvertical.com, type in the reg or the VIN. In this case it is Whiskey 700 Sierra Mike Whiskey, and then check vehicle. What this does then is it just checks database in 35 different countries. So it gives you a whole load of data. In addition to telling us whether it's ever been stolen, written off, or all that sort of stuff, it'll also show us the MOT history, the ownership changes, the number plate changes, the average market value. Sometimes if it has been involved in an accident, it even shows you photographs of the damage. By the way, these checks aren't expensive and it's cheaper still if you use my promo code HIGHPEAK. That's HIGHPEAK, all one word. HIGHPEAK. Right, the report's ready. So, bear in mind I've done this already. I'm just showing you guys. So it's never had a mileage rollback. There's no outstanding finance. There's no recorded accident damage. It's a 2016 A-Class diesel. It's never been stolen, so that's good. At its last MOT, it had done 43,000 miles, 728. And as we can see here on this graph, it's only done about 1,500 miles a year. It's done nothing, really. When the previous owner bought the car back in 2018, that's when it had done most of its miles, when it was 2 years old. So it had done 10 or 11,000 miles a year, and then all of a sudden, just a couple of thousand miles a year. It's an A-Class diesel from 2016, 1.5 diesel automatic, right-hand drive. We've also got the spec there as well. Let's go down to its timeline then. So, ownership changed in 2018, October of. Then it had its license plate change. So the previous owner put a private plate on it. That was done in November 2018. Then it was inspected, lots of advisory items here. But I think that's just because it's been done at a Mercedes specialist, so they've been a bit more thorough. Right, at its last test then in March this year, rear reg plate deteriorated but not likely to be misread. Front brake disc corroded on inner faces and rear brake disc heavily corroded on inner faces. So it might need a set of brake discs and pads. So that's that all checked out. Like I say, don't forget that promo code HIGHPEAK for 20% off. Let me get out to the back of this then before the neighbours call the police. I think then what I'm going to do, I'm going to drive this back up north and then take it straight to, where should we go first? I think take it straight to my mechanics, get them to replace the brakes, just do a general sort of health check really. And I might book it in with SPR for a service so they can update the service files, because these have a digital service record. So had the previous owner lost the service records in the, in the back, we'd have it online. I think I'll do that. Once those jobs are done, then I'll run it to Prestige and get the wheels sorted. And yeah, send it for a good valet. Oh, and the dents and the buff. There is quite a bit to do then, isn't there really? This is kind of the trouble. You buy something even as mint as this, and then you end up with quite a long to-do list. But anyway, that's my job, I'm not complaining. I shall see you then in a few days' time. Cheers, guys. And we're back in my cheap Mercedes A-Class, which is now sold for, well, profit, I think. I say think because on the passenger seat there is a stack of receipts. I've massively overspent on this car. I might have got it a bit wrong. That's what always worries me about this job, to be honest. I can buy a car for a fair price, sell it for a good price, but then before I know it, I've spent all the profit. When we last spoke, when you last saw this car, I was down on the south coast. Anyway, I drove this all the way back up to the northwest. It took me about 4 hours, and it was fine. Completely faultless, actually. As is always the case with these Mercedes A-Class diesels, they're a little bit coarse and lumpy when they're cold, but then as soon as they get warm, they iron straight out. And the longer I spent with this car, the better it got. It's quite a nice thing, actually. The next morning, I ran it down to my mechanics for a check over. I also asked them to replace the brakes because the brake discs were a little bit ropey. So they replaced the brake disc pads, and what else? I didn't ask them to do a service though, because this car had full Mercedes and Mercedes specialist history. I wanted to continue with that, so I thought I'll let SPR do the servicing. So my local mechanic just did front brake discs and pads, rear brake discs and pads, and wear wire, and a clean MOT. So they did that. That was quite a big bill actually. Then from there, I took it to SPR, who are a Mercedes specialist over in Stockport. They did a service on it for me and a check over, and that was all fine. Then from Stockport, I ran it over to Prestige Wheels in Bredbury. If you remember, the wheels weren't in the best shape, to be honest. So I left it there and I had them done sort of, well, back to factory standard, really. So they've been diamond cut. And once again, Prestige did a really good job. They look as good as new. They really make the car, actually. I didn't want to get them powder coated just in one solid colour. I wanted them to look as it left the factory. And I think they do. They look really good. Again, that was another few £100 down the drain. And then from there, oh, it needed a bit of paint work. I have overspent on this car, you know. As I tot it up in my head, it's quite a large amount. So I took this down to Jimmy the Magician, and he's painted, there was a scratch on, is it this door or it might have been the near side door. There was a scratch on the near side door that he's painted, and that of course had to be blown into the other door. There was a little mark on the back bumper, on the sill, and on the front bumper. So again, quite a large build, but I think you'll agree, it now looks as good as new. When it came back from Jimmy's, just so I could get it advertised as soon as possible and try and split my money around, I didn't have time to send it for a full valet. So I just sent it to my local car wash for a mini valet. So that was another £15. But I got it advertised and we had a call on it this morning. There's a lady down in Wales somewhere who wants it. She sent a deposit. So it's sold for, oh look at that, Integra. So it sold for £12,295. Now if you remember, I paid £9,300 for this. So you might be thinking, hang on Matt, you've made a £3,000 profit there. That's excellent. Well, yes. Yes, but that's not the full story. It's not all mine, unfortunately. That £3,000 gross profit isn't my net profit. So what I'm going to do is park up somewhere scenic and I'll talk you through exactly what I've spent on it. Let's see how much profit I've made. This will probably surprise you actually, because it'll be nowhere near £3,000. Like I said at the start, this is what worries me, because I bought this car for a fair price, sold it for a good price, and yet my profit margin's been squeezed. I think this will just go to show you what a difficult job this can be sometimes. It's really difficult to protect your profit margin. As I mentioned in previous videos, I sell between 35 and 40 cars a month, so it's a busy little garage. And the profit margin I try and go for is about, £1,200 a car. So straight away you'll be thinking, that's 50,000 quid. Well, again, it's not all my money. Let me explain then. Right, here we go. No one's in the lay-by today. Occasionally I come up here to try and film and somebody's having a nice relaxing lunch with a herbal cigarette. Right, I may as well leave the engine running, hadn't I? So I sold this car for £12,295, less my £9,300, the purchase price, leaves me £2,995 gross profit. Now out of that I've got to pay VAT, so we'll divide that by 6. The VAT I've got to pay to His Majesty's Revenue and Customs is £499, just gone, straight away. Used car dealers have to abide by the VAT margin scheme, so you give 20% of the content of your gross margin away. That's £499 gone, straight away. So we started with 2,995, less 499. So my profit straight away is £2,496. Right, the first bill then for brake disc pads, rear brake disc pads, wear wire, labour, MOT test fee. That was £433.52. Oh, plus the MOT test fee, okay. I won't include the VAT because I can claim the VAT back. Let me just show you this then. So, £433.52, less the MOT. So we're down to £2,000 profit now. My bill at Jimmy's was remove scratch, offside rear door, and paint and blend 2 doors, repair and paint offside rear bumper corner and paint, repair near side front bumper corner and paint, buff, polish, wax full vehicle, and a general clean. That was £440. Now, there's no VAT to pay on that because Jimmy's business isn't VAT registered. So we'll minus £440 off that. Then we've got my bill at SPR. The bill there for a service on a 4-cylinder diesel, so oil filter and oil. That was £160. That's quite cheap, isn't it? £160 plus the VAT. So we'll knock £160 off that. Then in addition to that, I've got £70 for a valet, which I haven't yet paid. There's no VAT on that. The reg plates are £15. I'm not sure about VAT on that, but it won't be much. What else? Oh yeah, the bill at Prestige wheels. So that was, because these are diamond cut, it's a little bit more expensive than just standard powder coating. That was £310 plus VAT. So we'll take 310 off that. So my profit from this deal, which might have started out life at £3,000 gross, is now £1,000, £1,027.48. It's not great, is it, that really? And don't forget, I was down on the south coast anyway, filming for the new Kia EV6. Had I had to pay for shipping on this, I think you could easily factor in another sort of £250 for transport cost. It'd be quite difficult, wouldn't it, to make a decent living? That's what worries me. I think I always try and work on volume, to be honest. I always try and sell as many as possible. I always try and take the Mike Ashley approach. So try and have as many things as possible for sale, and just hope that the more you have, the more you sell, and the more profit you make. That's my theory anyway. It's worked for 9 or 10 years, but I don't know. It does worry me. Anyway, enough negativity. Thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I'll leave the link below. And yeah, cheers guys. I shall see you next time.